Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Gyle here, and welcome back to another Supreme Commander epic. It's true to say I don't get to say that half as often as I would like, as you guys are well aware, but today, thankfully, it's one of those exceptions. I have the time and the energy to bring you one. It's not going to be a sentence or anything like that, so hopefully we'll be avoiding epic slowdown. It is going to be a Canis, and the players are ready, so let's go over to the game zone and see how they are going to get on. As always, Canis, we're pretty aware with the situation, what's going on and who's going where. We'll call this Team 1 up here at the top and this Team 2 down at the bottom as we bring up the character sheet, which I have to tell you that today is riddled with inaccuracies, so apologies for that, but I don't have time to redo it. For Team 1, going up here at the back is Korgoth, not Krogoth, despite what it says there in that horrible character sheet. In lurid green, he's going Cybran, opening first land. And to his right over here, going Elephantine Grey, Seraphim, it's 0. He's also opening first land. And to his right, over here, going Mellow Yellow, it's Koff. And he's going UEF, opening first land. And last but not least, up here at the front, it's Wassel. He did actually make a comment in the last video, the last Canis, in which he featured that it's not Wassel, it's World Supreme Leader, but to be honest, I'll be damned if I'm saying World Supreme Leader every time I'm referring to him in game. So congratulations, I hereby rename you, I christen you Wassel. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a very fine name. Many toilet attendants and bin collectors and gardeners have had that name. I don't know why I think gardeners there, it's quite a respected profession. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. It's a wonderful name, congratulations, I hope you enjoyed. On to Team 2. Down here at the bottom, we've got Soviet Pride, who's also in that last Canis game, in fact, and he really shone in that one, so expecting big things of him. He's the high-ranking player in Team 2. Of course, this is an average Joe. He's the only one over the average Joe mark for Team 2. He's already on the move. He's going Cybran, Cyanide, Scion, opening first land, going second air. To his left, in Pontiff White, it's Aplysia. Sounds like a girl, but I'm not sure, so we're going to call him a he. And he's going Aeon, opening first air. And thirdly, for Team 2, already on the move out to the west, it's Martich. He's going Cybran in Ferrari Red, opening first land. And last but not least, another inaccuracy in the whole thing. He's not going Aeon, he's going UEF. It's a Bulletproof Bob, which is a totally awesome name. I'm loving it. He's going UEF, he's not going Aeon, and he's opening first land. So those are the players and how they should stack up. But I'm immediately aware from scrolling out, though, on this one, how identical the meta is. Everyone's running the same kind of thing. All of the ACUs are leaving the base section, like people have dropped a nasty fart in there, and they're all running for their lives, and all in the same directions. Of course, you've got 2 pushing up the right, 2 pushing down the left up here, 1 to the middle, and of course 1 out to the bottom left and bottom right, all doing the same kind of thing. So all very consistent in the meta there. And initially, a little bit of a combat there, kicking off between Korgoth. I believe that was a lab. I managed to discern from zoomed out position. Came a cropper against the Mantis, so no gain there. And another lab going to become another cropper against this Mantis, I believe. He is going to manage to pick up a mole in the process there and deny a little bit of intel, so very modest, minor accomplishment there. But nonetheless, we shouldn't be too harsh on him. It was his first day at work. But Engineer rolling out in the meantime. He's going to pick up that Mex. He's also going to manage to hopefully secure this area for Team 2 down here. He's going to throw together a PD. But yeah, really very identical tactics from all of these guys. Soviet Pride grabbing the plateau up here. Aplysia going to anchor down, bunker down here, throw together an eruptor over across the land bridge out there. Really very similar indeed between Korgoth and Zero, although Zero's kind of pushing a little bit further with his ACU. He's not going to bother about securing this territory yet. These guys looking pretty aggressive. Where are they actually headed? They want to get right down here and snag that Mex. So interesting stuff, as you can already see Wassel's throwing some troops the other side of the Mexes up there at the front. So minor gain, I guess, for Team 1 at the early stages. Korgoth throwing together a land factory. And what have we got here? A little bit of a chariot, a little bit of an engineer drop. Chariot full of engineers there from Aplysia. Where is he headed? He's headed up here to a waypoint, and then a drop queued up right at the back of Korgoth's base. And some nice work here from Soviet Pride. Has a bomber with 6 engineer kills already. He's probably not going to be able to bag anything else. He's got an interceptor there from Zero, who's bearing down on him, knocks him out of the sky. But great work there from Soviet Pride, denying build capacity in the main base there for Team 1. And you know what, I think Bulletproof Bob's going to have to move further out west. He's stopped there to get a nice, say, a little production facility in place, but I think these two are looking a little bit dangerous right now. Martich is going to have his hands full, who hasn't advanced nearly as far. Actually, I mean, it's kind of, you look at the mirror, he's in the same kind of situation as Koff, who's building up factories back here as well. So it's all very similar, but they seem to be a little bit more aggressive on this side of the map than Team 2 do on this side. You can see Aplysia has already dropped back with his commander. He has dropped off his engineers. He's managed to get an eruptor in play, but Korgoth was watching what was going down there, has thrown together an auto gun, and that will be a denial there from that little attack from Aplysia. It looked like he managed to snag a few engineers of his own, but I don't think that really worked out too cost effectively for him. But Wassel being very aggressive here with his forward spam. Soviet Pride trying to discourage any more forward movement from him by trying to come in around the side with his ACU and a bunch of Mantis. Team 2 seem quite heavily focused on T1 Bomber as well, using it as efficiently as they can. But look at this. This is I'd say, symptomatic of two people who are probably working together on comms, on Mumble or something. This is a nasty, aggressive push happening in the west, and both of them starting upgrades on their commander. This can make life very difficult indeed for Marte, who's busy walling off that section in the far west of the map. Soviet Pride going to push north a little bit, test the water with some Mantis. Going to run into a whole bunch of strikers queued up there on the brow of the hill, who's going to pop them one after another as they file in single file. This here standing guard at the front of his base, wanting to stop Wassel's progress dead in his tracks, but there's an awful lot of Zooies in here in the mix for Wassel, and that could make life difficult for Bob, who's trying to spam together some plasma cannons. And indeed, those Zooey shells start raining down, and immediately that engineer and that point defense are knocked out. This is the thing with Canis, of course. You can use your ACU to great effect early on, because you can just jump into the river if things get too much for you, and avoid any potential negative consequences. But Martich says gun on commander. He's already tested the water. I'm guessing that's Korgoth, potentially Zero as well. If he's facing two ACUs with guns on board, he's going to really struggle to repel that much firepower. He's studying an upgrade of his own. Wouldn't blame him if he went gun as well. But Wassel bearing down on Bob's little production facility here, going to knock down all three of those land factories. Bob going to have to return from the front lines, going to have to bring some of his own forces back to finish off Wassel's ground troops. Have been causing him so many difficulties here. Wassel's going to have to retreat himself, I think. They're going to go toe-to-toe for a while, comm on comm. Meanwhile, over in the west, Zero continues to press. And you can see that gun upgrade firmly on board. Down goes the radar and some T1 P-Gens. Not looking good for Team 2 over here in the west. And Wassel has run out of forces, but he's been pretty effective. He's destroyed all the defenses that were being thrown together over here. He's knocked out 3 land factories and a hydro there and a mass point, and he can afford to back up now. That is nicely played from him, nice and aggressive. And as this game moves on, you've got to feel that the momentum is really with Team 1 at the moment. Jester out there for Soviet Pride. It's going to take an awful lot of Sky Slam. Sorry, not Sky Slammers though. The mobile T1RTs for Seraphim, the ISIL or whatever they're called. Martich caught on that upgrade though, and he has to cancel it. Oh, things just keep getting worse down here in the bottom left-hand corner for Martich. He's trying to throw together some defenses, but I think this push has come too early. He's not ready for it. 2 ACUs with gun upgrades bearing down, and only 1 unit of build capacity left working on that PD. It gets killed off, the Qs get cancelled. Gun on 2 commanders, he yelps in team chat. Bulletproof Bob says run then. And this is very nice aggressive play over here in the west from Team 1. This position completely untenable now for Martich as he retreats back towards safer territory. You can see his waypoint set there way back towards the main base. And that is very, very unfortunate there for Team 2. And now Soviet Pride, who is #1 player on their team for Team 2, potentially facing overwhelming odds. He's got a T2 factory down here. Thankfully it's not his HQ, because if this position gets overrun, of course, that's going to be something of an expensive item to replace. Thankfully he's got the sense to throw the T2 land factory HQ in the main base and not in a forward position. There's no need to do that now with the NG mod changes. Koff getting some cover there from a parashield. It doesn't last too long as Soviet Pride gets his Mantis underneath it, but I think that's just too much firepower for him to contend with. This is going to be another lost position for Team 1. Things looking very, very, very bad for Soviet Pride, and he exclaims his displeasure in team chat. And a combined push there from Wassel and Koff evicts Soviet Pride from that position, and it's looking like Team 2 are going to be relegated to this tiny pocket of the map down here, which is quite frankly a bad position to be in, as you can imagine, on Canis. But we are seeing some mercies emerge on the field there. Alicia has thrown the T2 upgrade on the air factory there, and that could work in their favor. There's a lot of exposed commanders around here from Team 1 who have been very aggressive. We've got Zero over here, we've got Korgoth down here at the bottom left. Yes, we've got some Ioshivas, some mobile flak, but if they scout well, they might be able to get around it. Mercy Snipe's incredibly annoying, of course, but very effective if you can get in away from any anti-air. But I won't lie, it's not looking good for Team 2. Aplicio and Martich, 2 members from Team 2, short stacking on score at the bottom of the table. Soviet Pride and Bulletproof Bob doing pretty well though at 2nd and 3rd position, but you wouldn't fancy Team 2's chances overall. Aplicio moving in with the ACU, trying to stall this attack as long as possible. She's got Bob in there for support as well. This might be Team 1's chance to get a bit of a run by down the right hand side, but I think they're going to decide against it. Probably a good idea. And a small little band of merry troops making their way in the back door down here for Team 1. Thankfully, Matich's commanders on hand to zap them when they come in. And already throwing Cerberus turrets in there, so Team 2 looking incredibly defensive now. Turtle might be their only response to this at this point. Bob and Aplicia still fighting as if their lives depend on it, which of course they do. Decent overcharges though from Bob, knocking down 3 mongoose there. Hoovering up mass as he goes. But look at Koff's eco, 91 compared to everybody else's, and Zero's actually jumped to the 2nd spot in this one. But the Mercies have taken off, and it might be Korgoth who suffers the impact. The Arshavas are nearby, but are they close enough? Ideally they want to be in front. There's an awful lot of Mercies. It's certainly enough to do it if they can get in, and Korgoth goes down at 16 3/4 minutes. And amazingly, it's Team 1 who are first to lose a player. Martich congratulates Aplicia on the snipe. That will hopefully at least relieve some of the pressure that Team 2 have been facing, and thank goodness full share isn't on, otherwise that would basically make no difference to the game whatsoever. This game would still be over. And that is my argument against full share. I don't care what anyone says. Certain situations, I guess the large, longer games, it can be more interesting sometimes if it's off, but generally, in the grand scheme of things, share until death offers a team game so much more in the way of options for comebacks. But a large interceptor battle breaking out now on top of Team 2's base, involving Zero and mainly Soviet Pride. There are a couple of swift wins in there from Aplicia as well, which might help tip the balance, and Zero is going to lose all of those interceptors for no real reason there. I think that might have been a slight error in judgment. But speaking of Zero, of course, they have access to the extra mass points down there, and all of the mass there in reclaim from Korgoth's base. But another attempt at a push here from Wassel. He's got a lot of units, I'll credit that, and he's got Koff in support as well, mixing it up with mongoose and pillars in there. Bulletproof Bob, is he under the water? Yes, he is. Temporarily safe from harm. This little fire base is clearly the target for this push here from Soviet Pride. The shield collapses under the weight of Zui fire, then it goes down afterwards. Just one Cerberus turret left, but not for too much longer. That follows on after. Titans out front for Bob. Couldn't have turned up at a more opportune moment. Bob making the transition there to T3 Tech. Should be able to tidy this up before they get into the base, and a wave of jesters appearing as well from Soviet Pride. And again managed to keep Team 1's forces out of the base. We've got Matik trying to expand now, build capacity moving forward slowly. Definitely going to be wary of stuff going on down here in the bottom left hand corner. You can see there's no intel at all on this side of the map. He could be walking straight into a developing base for all he knows at this point. Thankfully there's only engineers in the area though, but there are certainly more engineers. It's 4v2. If Zero's paying attention, he can knock those out of commission. Now we're seeing bricks emerge from Soviet Pride as well, so he's made the transition to T3 land. We've also got Percival's on the scene from Koff, so it's about that time. Everyone's emerging into T3 generally. There's virtually no development going on at all actually for Wassel. He's all about T1 push, and to his credit, it's really helped Team 1 get to where they've got to. They've just got to be careful they don't face a tech breakout now from Team 2. It will undo all of their hard work. Brick making contact here from Soviet Pride, bearing down on Koff's forces that has quite a few parashields in the mix. And that's an overwhelming barrage of fire coming in from those pillars and mongoose. Brick's not going to get too much done, and I don't think it's going to make it back to safe ground either. All the water. Oboe fire comes in to help finish it off. This here hovering some of the Auroras over the river in the middle. Going to get absolutely crucified from long-range Zooey fire. Such a strange game, and surprisingly, Matich has managed to keep those engineers alive, so Zero probably wasn't paying a great deal of attention, but he's paying attention now. He has a T2 engineer on the scene, and he's building banks of T2 point defense to make life a little bit more tricky, but Matich is doing exactly the right thing. Built land factory, converted it straight to T2, and is now working on Vipers. Also trying to build a hydro there, going to be unsuccessful, at least on that round. The engineer will bite the dust to boot. We've actually got a trebuchet out from Soviet Pride, busy harassing this body of T1 and T2 from Koff. It's actually mostly T2 in there. Lots of Vipers turning up. See engineers trying to throw together TMD. Zero doing everything he can to delay Matich's progression down here. But going to be unsuccessful on that round. He can now just take out that PD at leisure. But that is a nasty looking base emerging there from Zero. Who has his commander up front under shield coverage. He's building a lot of PD. However, that is a very exposed place to have a large proportion of your power grid stationed. Team 2 can knock that out. That would be a major blow to Zero. Ilshiver's up front taking fire from Titans. Titans dispatch those but have to retreat in the face of that PD fire from further back. And we've got Fat Boys under construction now from Bob. It's definitely the way to go, I think. They're going to need to break out somehow. Why not with a Fatty? And a large amount of TAC missile launchers going up in the middle of the base for Plicia. Definitely defensive TAC launchers, expecting impending experimentals, and why not, considering the amount of mass that's coming into the coffers of Team 1 right now. 185 for Koff, 161 for Zero. It really does dwarf what's coming in to Team 2. Again, another hero brick up front for Soviet Pride, dancing backwards and forwards. Now this wave of Vipers is busy tidying up what build capacity Zero's got down here. But we've got Othams emerging on the scene, and Titans are no match for him, but Percival's are, and a few of those are turning up as well now for Bulletproof. It's got quite the standoff developing over here in the west. The east is a little bit more fluid, a little bit more back and forth at the moment. We have got a Monkey Lord under construction. That should open things up, assuming it gets finished. Not much longer left on the Fatty. It's at around 50% or so. And Zero expecting the Vipers to make a move on this position. He's been busy building TMD. He's only got 3 in place over on this western edge, but there's more shield gens being queued up. There is a brick at the front of this ready to keep out these Zooies, but he's obviously got some intel coverage on this area. He saw that body of troops moving forward and doesn't want to risk losing those Vipers, so he backs up, and that's going to give Zero more time to burrow in. It's definitely what he's focusing in, focusing his eco on at the moment. But Percival's advancing from Koff, once again punishing this forward fire base that's already been wiped out once by Team 1. Once again, nullifies all of the shielding. Just see how little damage those Cerberus turrets do. 4 Cerberus turrets just firing all day. And that single solitary Percival just laughing at it. Really do feel that's imbalanced. I mean, far be it from me to say Cyber need a boost in anything, but I think every race should have decent and effective point defense, to be honest. Vipers raining down fire on that shield. They're connecting with the shield at the moment. Whether or not they connect once that shield collapses and they have that little bit more travel time remains to be seen. But certainly Wassel has a lot of T1 in the area. He could send that in to sacrifice it and buy Zero a little bit more time. Shield goes down, and the structure of the shield is amazingly being kept alive. Zero tanking that fire, and Wassel indeed preventing Matich from sustaining that attack. And moving forward with that horde of T1. Really, Matich should be sending those bricks in. Does he know what it is? Well, he could guess it's mostly T1, but he doesn't know for certain. Got the odd fire beetle in there as well to assist. But strap bombers out from Zero, harassing these Percys out from Bob. And Team 2 have no reply to the T3 air game at the moment, at least. Those ASFs reign supreme. That Monkey Lord has finished, so is that Fat Boy. That Fat Boy just being used to patrol at the moment. He'd like to get it in here and start putting some fire and some hurt down on this base, but that strap bomber has to be concerning him. A few more of those, and that will be the end of that Fat Boy. Meanwhile, Soviet Pride's Monkey Lord makes contact with Koff's forward forces, does a little bit of a feint backwards and forwards, but manages to pick them off. It's Demolisher here, which isn't going to see another birthday. There it goes. Apparently he's Farin Malazor. And Team 1 yet to really branch into the experimentals. We see one under construction here, but this could be very bad news for the Monkey Lord down here. That's a ton of Volthus T2 Seraphim gunships en route, and a ton of ASFs from both Koff and Zero ready to keep those gunships alive. And down goes that Spider. That has no chance of getting to safe territory at all. Even if he gets into the water, it's not deep enough to protect it. That laser in the top of the Spider bot will still sit firmly above the top of the water. Strap bombers coming in to add insult to injury, or rather injury to injury. And down into the red. At least that's getting to a more sensible location where hopefully Team 2 will be able to reclaim it. Another strap bomb lands directly on top. That will be the end of that. And actually, to be honest, Wassel could continue with those Volthus and come straight in to kill that Fat Boy. There's no anti-air down here at all. These are Ravagers being built down here. I don't see any flak in this area, and that's actually being pinged now. It's only buzzkills and triads. There are no air cleaners in the area whatsoever. So that Fat Boy is ripe for the taking. Question is whether or not Wassel will decide to go for it. Strap bombers piling up here, and things looking really bad for Team 2 now. Yes, they've taken out Korgoth, but in the long term, it's a very difficult position to come back from now. That Ithota online chicken for Wassel. Once again, Zero makes a bit of a push. Matic needs to get those bricks in front of those Vipers. He'll be able to cut all of this to pieces once he does. It's nothing but garbage, really. Just needs to keep those Vipers on the move and away from any potential Zui fire. There's the odd Ilshiva turning up. Nothing he can't obliterate. Once again, he's going to want to get these Vipers up here. He was doing such good work earlier on. He nearly finished it off. And now these shields are being upgraded to T3, which is going to present yet more difficulties to Matic as he tries to break out on that west side of the map. We have another attack looming from Koff in the east. That's the question. And Koff has a fat boy of his own, ready for counter-artillery barrage. But at least there is a horde of skyboxers defending that fat boy now. Wassel definitely missed an opportunity there. Once again, it's always very easy to say when you can see everything, but thanks to Koff's target prioritization, he loses out to Bob's fat boy, who primaried him with his own. He's going to need to back his own up now that that one's gone down. He's got Percival's bearing in on his position. Thankfully, he's got a bunch of Ravagers back here, which can really dish out the hurt. And another one, literally named another one there from Koff. Another spider bot coming into the rescue. But they've got to do something about this air situation. Team 1 can operate with impunity in the sky right now. Absolutely nothing can be done about it for the foreseeable until they start getting a decent horde of ASFs together. Presents the largest obstacle to any potential breakout for Team 2. These circling strap bombers, which yes take huge amounts of damage from flak, but can also knock out huge quantities of flak with just one bomb. Bithota's moving forward now from Wassel, taking a lot of fat boy fire as they go. Question is, what's Wassel going to primary? If he moves both chickens in now, he should be able to knock aside the fat boy without any difficulty. Indeed, the shield collapses for the fat boy, and the giant plasma ball of death finishes him off. So the largest weapon on this front line is now down, but there's a whole bank of Ravagers which will absolutely crucify the chickens if they get too close. The front one on the right hand side's gone down, but Wassel still has access over here. He could probably do quite well if he maneuvers it in around the back door. There's nothing down here in terms of point defense. You've got one Cerberus turret, or two Cerberus turrets, three maybe. That's it. It's basically an open door waiting for him, and he realizes that. It's a little bit stuck on the hill there. Bulletproof Bob is trying to catch him up with some Percivals, but it's a bit of a tall order. Percival's not the fastest thing on the planet. One of the things that make them relatively balanced. But onwards, that Ithota presses. And this is a key target right here. Here, TAC missiles being launched, and it's a bit of free fire against the chicken, but that's a hard thing to hit on the move. Drops just short, and he's actually bearing down on Martixcom, who I hadn't realized is that close to the front line. And the shields go down, and surely that's Matich out of the game. He focuses in on the commander, but then inexplicably starts to move it when he was focusing. I guess he wants to get the Ion Storm closer, but why aren't you firing on the comm? You have the chance to kill it right now, but Mercy's coming in from Aplysia. The comm gets pinged once again, but the chicken is finished off. What? And I'm pretty sure that was a Control K from Martich, who's had enough of the game. Knew he wasn't going to make much ground, much headway over here in the west, but it's a little bit of a shame. He'd basically survived the chicken. I'm not sure what Wassel was doing with that chicken. That should have been a kill right there for him. But Mercy's out from Aplysia helped defeat that Ithota and would have kept Martich alive. But now we've got a little bit of a Percival push from Koff, moving in on the front of Bulletproof's, Bob's, fortifications. There's 3 T3 factories slightly exposed here. Thankfully they complete a round of Percivals in good time.
Strategic launch detected.
A what? A nuke launcher sneakily built there from Soviet Pride. Question is, where's it going? It's going towards the main base here from Wassel, but there's already a anti-nuke in place with a missile inside, so that's not going to detonate. That's a little bit of poor scouting there from Team 2. I think this would have been a much more ideal location for the nuke. Could have cleared that western edge of the map. Soviet Pride still, once again, the guy on his team who's really making the splash, as he was in the last game of Canis. Another Monkey Lord in production, one up front, and a megalith that's got that fat boy in its sight. Just dishes out so much damage with such good range. I love the megalith. It's an excellent experimental. Down it goes. Barrage of tac missiles out from Aplysia. Was going after that fat boy, but really it's a very tough thing to do, to hit a moving experimental with tac missiles. Not the best defense, really. Probably do better to recycle those. But Volthu's bearing down on the Monkey Lord at first. Aplysia moving in with a whole bunch of thistles, but that's not going to get through those Volthus in time, I don't think. But a wave of ASFs from Bulletproof Bob might just do the trick. There they go. And that has kept Soviet Pride's Monkey Lord alive. So Bulletproof Bob, with the surprise entry into the air game, does a nice job there, but an experimental bomber on the field for Wassel, and a second one for Zero. This could really hurt Team 2. Where is he inbound for? He hasn't left himself a lot of room. How's his micro? Not that good. Doesn't get the bomb off on the first pass. But there is a bomb off from Zero's one. Goes straight for the front lines. That's a complete waste, though, of Wassel's bomber. But at least Zero's is still alive. If you're going to use those things, at least make sure your first bomber is going to get off a bomb on the first pass. And a slight mistake from Zero, I think, thinking that that was the commander, in fact a support commander, but the plus side of it, if silver lining, is the collateral damage it's caused has put a huge hole in Bulletproof's power grid. You can see he's minus 2,200 net now. He does manage to shoot down that second experimental bomber from Zero. It lands on top of the edge of Soviet Pride's base. A little bit of comedy there from Soviet Pride, having fun with the naming. That's a lot of mass that's been dumped on Soviet Pride's doorstep. Anyone was going to get their hands on it for Team 2. Team 1 would not want it to be him. So Team 2 still holding out despite the complete loss, total loss of map control in this one. Turtling up very nicely at the moment. What have Team 1 got planned for them next? That is the question. Morithota's under construction there from Wassel. Once again, we enter a little bit of a lull in activity here. These guys have been throwing so much at each other for about the last 20 minutes or so. They just need a little bit more time to build some weapons. Has Bob recovered power-wise? That's the question. Yes, he has. Wants to start rebuilding the Quantum Gateway first. I don't blame him. Support Commander's invaluable when a game gets to this kind of stage. Aplicia has been moving into the experimental game. He's working on a GC there in the middle. And a wave of Othams from Zero approaching the fringe of Team 2's base right now. Now they've made contact with the Megabots. They're going to want to deal as much damage as they can. They've got him behind it, which will be difficult for it to kill them off, certainly, but for the moment, Soviet Pride focusing on the outer defenses of that base. Doesn't want to get too exposed, really doesn't want to lose this experimental. Strat bombers coming in from Zero. Well, I cannot believe how the control in air has shifted in this game. Team 2 now have air dominance. But was it a mistake of Soviet Pride not to turn that crab around? There's a lot of Othams that are in danger of affecting a breach in the soft underbelly of Team 2's base right now. There's very little in the way of defense. Thankfully, Bulletproof Bob has a Fat Boy in the area, but I'm sure they would rather have a direct fire experimental. Where are those Percivals that were hanging around in the middle of the base? There they are. They still haven't been given an attack order. Thankfully, there's a Monkey Lord on hand. As Bulletproof Bob about to lose that Quantum Gateway, having just built it. No, he's not. Manages to hold on to it, at least for the moment. What have we got here? Single attack missile coming in, going straight after that forward T2 land factory. Where's that coming from? Somewhere back here. I'm guessing it's probably Koff. Trebuchet, sorry, not a Trebuchet, a Demolisher. Continuing to press that forward factory. 45 minutes down in this game. Look at Zero's eco, that's horrendous. 351 mass per tick. Koff's on 200. As opposed to Pride and Bob on 133 and 166. Wassel's on 195. They're facing such a mass deficit. This would take a miracle to come back from at this point. But am I about to eat my words earlier on about Aplicia's TAT missile battery? That fat boy will need to move if it wants to avoid it. The shield gets knocked down. It's going to take another wave to kill it, though. I don't think 2 TAT missiles is enough. It's not. Knocks it down to around 50%. Finally, Koff realizes and gets it moving. But another experimental bomber in play from Zero. His eco is just rolling. And it wouldn't take much with an eco like that to get back on top of the air in this game. If you can get air superiority and start using these bombers with impunity, that really will be the end of all life in Team 2's base. Soviet Pride, though, steadily building up experimentals, and a T3 artillery installation. Interesting stuff. That's already a 3rd done. If that gets finished, that could be, I hesitate to say, not a game changer, because there's such tools on the battlefield for that to get taken out rather easily. They could just chuck a couple of experimental bombers at it and it should go down. There is a lot of shielding around it. Might take a couple of experimental bomber shells just to get through the shields. But these guys just locked in a standoff at the moment. No one really knowing what's the best route to hurt their opponent. Team 1 bringing some more chickens to the fold up here at the top from Wassel. Soviet Pride asking for a bit of scouting intel. How's he doing on that next nuke? Well, he's about 85% done on it. He's got an anti-nuke in place of his own. Seeing any extra nuke launchers on the map from Team 1. But whatever Team 2 are going to do to hurt Team 1, if they're going to do it, they have to do it now. I suggest the person they need to hurt, it needs to be Zero. And it's quite perplexing how Bulletproof Bob has shot up into the lead on score. He didn't get the ACU kill on Team 1, remember? That was Aplicia with the Mercy Snipe. He's building high value amounts of something, that's for certain. Might just be the amount of eco that he's trying to build together, the amount of power. That is actually a lot of Percivals. That could do a lot of damage if he can get it into a place. He looks like he's moving it up the river. He can move it up here and then plow through the center of the base. He could cause some real trouble, but the problem is it's the amount of build capacity they've got down here, and also the experimental bomber that's lurking up here. That will make a real mess of a clumped up group of Percivals. Lots of fat boys emerging from Koff. And a single hero GC out from Aplicia. Not going to fare too well there. You can see Soviet Pride warning him. Care White, he has too much stuff. Family show. Unfortunately not even managing to hit anything with that beam. Got a little bit of fat boy coverage. Those Percivals still lurking in the middle, unsure where to go, or probably thinking he should have come south to protect the base from this horde of stuff. But this looks like an all-round incursion that's developing from Team 1. Bob, to his credit, has a lot of ASFs on the field. And Zero just got beasted in the skies. But look at this, Chicken incredibly close to the base now. Soviet Pride's renamed his Spider-Bot no entry. That Chicken was bearing down on top of that Fat Boy. Thankfully they've managed to bring it down outside of the range of the base. I think the base should be safe from that Ion Storm. And that second one is going to get destroyed as well. And Bob decides it's time to make a move. He's emerging from the river with those Percivals. Finally we're seeing a bit of aggression from Team 2, but the bomber's incoming. And if he lands that square, that could really hurt. Doesn't manage to get a bomb off at all. That's going to give Bob a little bit more time to progress. If I were him, I'd be wanting to split these up a little bit more, send some off that way, some this way, to minimize the impact that that bomber is going to have. That Spider-Bot goes down in the middle there, but bombs away, and they couldn't have lined up nicer for him, and every single Percival dies. That's an absolute tragedy for Team 2. At least Bob should be able to swat this Arsewasher. He's taking some fire in the process though from Koff's ASFs. And the problem is he gets the mass right back. Although, does he get it in the face? No, he doesn't. It overshoots and lands safely in the river. But they still haven't solved the problems down here. There's a lot of units, although a lot of them are vestigial T1 rubbish that aren't really going to have an impact on this base. Just one Ravager left, though. These 4 Percivals might cause some problems. That Fat Boy from Bob moving into position to try and get some fire on them. It's all about prioritizing what's the biggest threat now. Amazing though, I think they've managed to repel that attack, and yet another experimental bomber is completed up here for Zero. How much time left on that T3 artillery piece though? Not that much. That is about to go online. Percivals make their entry into the main base. They're not going to get too much done, I don't think. There they go. And still, Team 2's base remains largely intact. A couple of cheeky Zooies coming in there from Wassel, trying to kill some build capacity. Isn't going to manage it. And you've got some cheeky Novak centers being thrown together at the back there. More TAC missile launches from Aplysia. But once again, unnecessary. All that's going to do is going to destroy the Fat Boy wreck that they could have potentially harvested. Yeah, there it goes. Does manage to take a Percival with it if you want to see a silver lining. But once again, another experimental bomber on the move for Zero, who is just churning them out. He parks it up on the plateau up here for the moment. Fat Boy is having a field day with the queued up, stacked up units down here. 108 kills on that sucker already. It's not a good place to park your units, certainly fair to say. And look at this. Strap bombers lining up with the experimental bomber. What's he going for here? Looks like he's going for the commander. Or maybe the nuke defense. Hello, where are we at? That nuke is so nearly done, and I don't see any other anti-nukes in play for Team 1, which could be a critical error on their part. Question is, does he have enough firepower to break through the shielding and take that out? It's clearly what he's aiming for at this point. There's a lot of bomber power queuing up over here on the right hand edge, the eastern edge of the map for Koff. Sorry, not for Koff, for Zero. And that's now exposed. If he can land a shell right in the middle there. There's another one inbound. Oh my god. I can't see any anti-nukes anywhere else. Literally can't. How long left on that missile? It is literally going to get done. They are actually just painting the numbers on the side of it. On the side of the missile. It'll be something in Russian, like it says, present for you, sir. But in comes the experimental bomber going after Aplysia. Takes an awful lot of fire coming in, though. The ASFs from Bob scramble to knock it down, but there's a wave of strat bombers coming in as well. Aplysia scrambles to get under the rear shield at the back. She's got a personal shield on her, which is something. And now she's got some coverage. That
Strategic launch detected.
bomber's still alive for a moment. It lands a bomb on top, and Aplysia has just 1,700 hit points left. She has to take a left turn and make her way for the next shield. And she does it. Question is, where's that nuke going? Please tell me it's going for zero. He's not even moving his commander. For some reason the nuclear beacon isn't pinging. And that looks to me like it's going disturbingly high and to the right, and I don't know why you would pick Koth to nuke. That's a very, very poor choice of targets. Why on earth you wouldn't pick right here on top of Zero's comm? Hope he doesn't move it. If he does, then never mind. You've at least crippled the guy who's been dishing out all the hurt. And I think, I hate to say it, but I think that's a waste. I think that's a serious waste. Cannot believe, though, how close that was to Aplysia's demise. Actually fumbled over the words there. Bob suggesting Scathis as a course of action. Soviet Pride says you read my mind. And immediately construction gets started. It's going to require a major team effort to get that finished. It is getting thrown together very quickly. Just from what's there, it really is so much cheaper than it used to be. It was in the kind of Mavor Paragon range back in 3603 and that kind of thing, and 3599. It's now a very different beast with a significantly reduced range and cost. And they really do need to reprioritize targets with the artillery. They need to cripple Zero and do it immediately as a... That must be experimental bomber number 6 or 7 or 8 or something for Team 1. It's absolutely outrageous. A nasty group of forces from Wassel. 2 Ethotas, a horde of Volthus, ton of flak, and some mobile shield gens. Amazingly, he's still producing T1. Brain is actually melting under the weight of this one. As these guys line up for an attack, Lucia's got a second GC ready. I don't think they want to meet out here in the field. They want to have the battle right here. It doesn't matter about the ion storms. You can finish them off down here or in here. When they bottleneck as they come in, it'll give you coverage, anti-air coverage for the Volthus. That Soul Ripper is online. Knock knock, it's called. sent out east to deal with this horde of Percivals from Koth that's been sent down that side of the map. Guess to attempt a invasion around the back here. You can see the waypoints lined up, but I don't think he's going to get to use them. I think they're going to be killed off before they get into anywhere too critical. Scathis already 66% done. And Team 1 actually looking a little bit devoid of new tactics at the moment, new plans. They've been essentially stuck in this rut of... What? Unbelievable. And Koth just Control K's his comm out of spite, because apparently his teammates were reclaiming his stuff back here in the main base, I guess. Illustrating the not so pleasant sides of SOPCOM sometimes, but what? Where did they come from? I completely missed those. 3 experimental assault bots coming in through the front door from 0. Something about that color, they must have come down the river. Completely missed them. And this is going to be really hard for Team 2 to repel. Satellite firing from above, but it's not going to do a lot of damage at this point. And look at that, the Scathis is so nearly done as well. But there's so much to kill, and an experimental bomber coming in over the top as well. And this is really why they should have gone for 0 with that nuke. I don't know why Soviet Pride selected Koth. And I think all of this hard work that Team 2 have put in is about to get cast aside. Bob scrambles his ASFs to try and cover from that bomber, but a wave of strap bombers coming in as well. And back comes the bomber going straight for Soviet Pride's comm, who goes critical literally on the 1 hour mark. GG's being thrown out, and that is going to be the final straw. Aplicia and Bob do not have the eco, the infrastructure, the firepower to hold off Zero and Wassel, who have been arguably the main forces to be concerned about in terms of firepower coming out of Team 1. To their credit, they have at least managed to repel everything coming out from the west, but another experimental bomber inbound. They need to finish off these ASFs though if they want to finish off Team 2 from the air. Can't get over how many experimental bombers Zero has built over the course of this one. But it literally is a foregone conclusion. I think it's fair to say we can skim through this one now. You've got Bulletproof Bob trying to get an eco back together. He's got a decent amount of build capacity in the form of those support commanders, but really there's no defense left. A small bank of SAMs. A couple of GCs. Plicia could keep them in the base and hold out for a little bit longer, but what are you going to do against continued bombardment from the sky and from the land? It's a nasty group of Othams en route. More chickens being thrown together there as well. It's just not looking good now. for Team 2. Soviet Pride telling his teammates to reclaim everything, but to be honest, it's too little too late. We've even got engineers this far forward from Zero, who's picking up wrecks on Team 2's doorstep. This year going down in style with her GCs, trying to cause what damage she can, but it's frankly a lost cause. Too many Volthus. Bob comes out with his horde of ASFs, who's actually been instrumental in the holdout for Team 2 in this game, holding off Team 1 with his air coverage. Now the threat lies on the ground. They don't have much to stop it. It's a real shame, though, about the two quitters in this game. I'm assuming Martik quit. I'm not 100% sure, but Koff certainly did. There was nothing anywhere near him. And that comment afterwards, obviously some slightly less than reputable play going on from one of these two guys. Stealing his stuff. But really, there is no chance at this point for Team 2 to come back. It's all done and dusted as far as I'm concerned. Team 1 waiting unnecessarily long to send in their forces. They have more than enough. 5 experimental assault bots in this area of the field alone. A 6th one coming up from behind. An experimental bomber is going to be finished any minute. And a horde of interceptors ready to claim back the air for Team 1. Bulletproof Bob sitting safely in the water, or as safe as you can be when you're facing odds of this magnitude. It won't take too long for them to spit out some torpedo bombers and flush him out of the river. So much damage. Coming balls of death. Plissier's done rather well to get 2 more GCs in operation, but they've had a lot of mass to reclaim, to be fair. There's just been so many experimentals thrown at this side of the map. It's been unreal. But this is definitely the final assault now. No question about it. Two bombers coming in at the same time. And that leaves a Plissier completely exposed. And the chickens finish her off. Just Bob sitting in the pond. Is it just me, or the Aeon nuclear explosion is so much brighter than everything else? All of the others. Unbelievable amounts. Pop go the support commanders at the bottom, the last vestige of any kind of build capacity for Bob, who emerges from the water to offer up his body to the team that to all intents and purposes, did outplay them. Talking about who will cast it, I will cast it. I'm not no one. Boom, baby. And there he goes. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, guys. As I said before, sorry about the droppers. It's always slightly hard to find to see what happens when you're skimming through these things on +10. But entertaining nonetheless, I hope you'll agree. As always, guys, more to come from me in the future. In the meantime, stay well and stay safe. This is Gyle signing out.